Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 902. I am Steven in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
Chris is at his croaky best back this week after Kat filled in for him last week. But she can't today because it's her birthday as we record this.
Happy birthday, Kat.
Happy birthday, Kat. So she gets the day off. You're pressed into service and your faltering voice there, Chris. So we will...
Is this... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Warren.
I was wondering if it's where you feel fine, but the voice is bad, one of those colds?
No. No. It's not that good.
My sympathies.
This is why just get up right on the mic on this one. Just let the microphone do the work for you, Chris. That's my advice to you.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's not a cold. It's like throat infection, sinus infection kind of stuff.
Throat infection. Man, oh, man. Well, that stinks for you, Chris.
Yeah.
So it does. This week on the show, for real, actually, we're going to do the episode 3 of Planet of Giants, Crisis, the commentary for which somehow I put out on the last week's episode ever so briefly before someone pointed it out that actually it's supposed to be episode 2. So you've already heard the episode.
Way to go.
Yeah, I know, right? It has been
Whoopsie.
replaced. So if you want to... check your podcast feeds. The actual episode 2 commentary went out last week. Except
you realize Planet of the Giants commentary is like the epicenter of the best we can manage. Anyone screwed it up.
I know.
Also, did anybody care? Like, I'm sure they noticed, but did they care?
Well, they did, because I noticed on Twitter thinking, you know what? It felt strange but I just sort of like, I must have just labeled it wrong. No. Oh, well, after 902 episodes, sometimes you make mistakes, folks. So that's a mistake that I made. And I apologize for that.
Yeah, nothing can possibly go wrong.
Nope, absolutely not. So we're halfway through April here. It's all they're sort of actually they aren't making Doctor Who, because according to Ncuti Gatwa's Instagram, he's on vacation in Portugal. Do not stalk him in Portugal, but he's in Portugal. So actually, don't stalk Ncuti Gatwa. But I think they must be off for a couple weeks or something like that for vacation, Easter break. I don't know. Did they get that? Is there like teachers convention for Doctor Who? I don't know if that's the thing. But
a PD day.
Yeah, I don't know.
I also assume he's going to need some time to do press for the Barbie movie.
Oh,
soon
right.
enough.
Yeah.
Well, that opens July? No longer opposite Oppenheimer, because they bumped that to
yeah, I like how Oppenheimer blinked and said, maybe not.
I wasn't even aware that there was a big Titanic showdown between Oppenheimer and the Barbie movie, but
that's a classic showdown, dude.
I know.
Yeah, that's a high nooner, is what that is.
That is, and two very similar movies too. That's why they probably blinked. Yeah.
Given Super Mario Brothers has already broken $500 million, you never know what to expect. So Barbie might really rake it in.
Maybe Oppenheimer saw one look at the returns for the Super Mario Brothers movie, I guess, with Chris Pratt as Super Mario, and thought, okay, no, we're not fighting this battle.
The thing is, though, from everything I've read, which is not a whole lot about the Barbie movie, everybody who's in it said, like, this is an incredible script. This is actually really, really funny and really, really good. Mm-hmm. And Super Mario Brothers movie, all the reviews say this is some pretty one-note crap. So maybe what I'm saying here is Barbie won't do as well because it isn't one-note crap.
Oh, that's right. It's more simplistic. Here, you know why?
It might be too good for the audience.
You know what I think the main selling point of the Super Mario Brothers movie is? It's like 90 minutes long. Remember those days? Remember when movies were 90 minutes long?
And
Good
in
for it.
defense, not really defense, but I'm just as guilty as anybody else because I watched the latest Picard and it bathed in its nostalgic nonsense. And
Right.
you
No
got
spoilers.
me. You got me. So for anybody who grew up on the Super Mario Brothers game, et cetera, I understand. It's the exact same thing, really, when
Yeah.
you get down to it.
No spoilers for Picard for people who haven't caught up with it, but we're 9 episodes in. We're only 1 episode left, and I have to say I'm mildly annoyed that it's as good as it is. It's
Same here.
Yeah,
How dare you? How dare you? And I think part of the annoyance is that it's about to end and theoretically completely. And I'm like, well, why'd you wait this long? Come on.
yeah, I know. I'm a little worried about how much they're going to have to wrap up in this last episode, but yeah.
Has anything been said about how long the last episode is?
No, it has not.
No, that's a good
been.
point.
So it might be like an extra few minutes or something, but I don't know. But yeah, it's the key to making good Star Trek these days, in my mind, is to not let Alex Kurtzman or Akiva Goldsman anywhere near it, and you've got a winner because Terry Matalas has done a pretty good job on this. It's really good.
I'm not gonna necessarily disagree with that, but I'm still surprised. Again, no spoilers, but I took exception to a few plot points in episode 9 that you guys didn't. That really surprised me.
I do, but I brush them under the carpet.
Yeah, you know what? Once you pointed them out, I was thinking,
wave them away.
that is kind of yeah. It's easy how nostalgia, well done nostalgia and well done fan service can over. Paint over the cracks a little bit.
If you like it, because there are plenty of franchises you don't like, where they do the exact same thing.
I know, but they did it well. They did it well.
I mean, that's been
they pleased you.
Mm-hmm.
that's been your most common complaint across, Strange New Worlds, which
Marvel.
Have you
Star
watched
Wars.
yet?
I watched the first episode and said, no, I'm
Okay.
not doing this. Everyone's I don't
but
like Strange New World.
Across any number of Star Trek series like Lower Decks and whatnot,
Right.
You're railing against nostalgia this and reference that and whatever, and here's like the schlockiest of schlock presented on a silver platter for you.
No, I wouldn't go that
Schmaltziest
far.
of schmaltz. I wouldn't say schlock. Schlock means it's bad.
I think you know what it was a nice breathable pace, whereas I feel like the references in Lower Decks that were coming at me in the cold open of the first episode was basically just a Gatling gun, just like
Yeah, but that's cartoons.
it's
that's
cartoons,
any cartoon.
and it was more quips than it was like references. I don't know, it didn't jive with me. Just like it's a lot of stuff coming at me. I don't want to know, but then
You're allowed not to like it. I mean,
yeah.
Well, naturally, but I mean, I'm just curious where and how you draw the distinction.
Oh, it's a case-by-case scenario. As I think you'll find that, if Doctor Who was to do something, go, I remember that. Apparently Mavic Chen is going to be mentioned in Doctor Who for the first time since 1966, according to Russell T Davies' Doctor Who magazine notes from a few months back. And let me tell you, I'm looking forward to that. And,
so what you're saying is, like all the rest of us, you're a total hypocrite.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am
Fair
very
enough.
much. Yep.
That's a good word for it, Warren.
Yep.
Yeah, and we're all just as guilty. Did I bawl when a certain thing happened at the end of Star Trek Picard season 3 episode? And you bet your sweet bippy I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? Speaking of other franchises that aren't Doctor Who are currently on break, thus enabling Shurigatwa to enjoy a well-earned vacation in Portugal. The less that you know about the Star Wars expanded universe, the better the Mandalorian is. It's a fun.
I'm sure there's lots of Clone Wars fans who disagree with that.
Maybe.
I don't know much about Clone Wars, so I'm probably in your corner on this.
Well, yeah, you know what? Because I'm like, I have no idea what's going. And then some, I've kind of stopped listening to podcasts and like reading things about the Mandalorian, like reviews and stuff. Because like, oh, this is a reference from Clone Wars. This is a reference from Rebels. Like, you know what? I was better off not knowing that. I was just happy to just watch this without knowing any of the backstory at all, and just watching Baby Yoda walk a little mech around and hitting the yes button.
Here's where I'm ridiculous,
That's
just so you don't get picked on.
All right.
I immediately, and it's not a spoiler, they say Thrawn. They've been saying Thrawn's coming back since season 2, so I think the statute of limitations is over for that.
Right.
So I have Heir to the Empire kicking around, and I'm like, I don't know where the other 2 books are. I'm going to order them for $5 each at Powell's and read them.
Right.
Because why the hell not?
Yeah.
And that's not even official pretend. So, but I still want to kind of know what it's all about, because I haven't read these things in 30 years when they came out in the 90s.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I remember reading them in 92 2
Oh
or
yeah,
something like
I
that.
did in the
but,
90s, but that was when we had that was it. That was Star Wars. That was all we had. That was the only sequel other than like droids and Ewoks and a couple TV movies with Ewoks in it. That was all we had, and now it's a surfeit of nonsense. I'm like, well, why not go into the book nonsense that I kind of enjoyed back in the day?
That wasn't canon, but is canon again. I understand. Is that how it's?
Well,
working?
it was canon, but isn't. But now it sort of is where they pick and choose.
Yeah. Because they're hypocrites.
And he's in Clone Wars too.
Because they're hypocrites. So. That's why it all comes back to that.
Who cares? It's all like I said. There's no such thing as official pretend.
Oh,
pick and choose what you want.
Yeah.
I don't think. Excuse me. I don't think the Timothy Zahn stuff is canon because it's like Luke
no, it isn't.
Because was it Leia and Han have twins or something like that?
Oh,
but
come on.
Filoni and Favreau apparently met up with them and said, "Okay, here's what we're doing." Kind of got his blessing and some input from him.
Well, I was going to say when Filoni started doing stuff for Rebels and whatnot, that's when it became part of the canon, and so it was like adapted from ideas lifted from Zahn. I didn't know they had actually met with him to get his blessing on this or that, but I'm glad they did.
And I can't stress this enough. None of this matters. It's all make believe.
It's all make believe. Thrawn's coming back in that new Ahsoka show that does not have Baby Yoda in it, so my interest in it is low.
Maybe it has a baby Ashoka. Maybe she had a kid.
No, Baby Yoda, man.
It's got Sabine Wren in it.
Three. I don't care. It's Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda.
I barely know who Sabine is.
From the show. I don't know. I can't remember which one she is.
But I barely remember that.
I think she's a graffiti artist.
One of the
or
best
something.
part of Rebels.
Was it? Chopper's the best part of Rebels, and I saw him briefly in the trailer for that. And that was
I've seen less than either. I've seen 4 episodes of Rebels, so I have barely any idea what you're talking about. You know what I'm not doing? Getting mad about it.
That's fine. Oh, perfectly. Go in cold, Warren. Do not feel compelled to do homework to watch a new show that's on TV for the first time.
Well, I did finish The Bad Batch, which was quite excellent, actually. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that coming back for its 3rd and final season.
Do you think we'll get Doctor Who animated shows when it comes to Disney Plus? Because it seems to be an easier way to prolong the canon without having to spend $80 billion. Yeah,
I would bet that RTD would jump for that.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on what's actually happening with like animations of classic Who missing episodes. Right. If we got like new animated stuff and old stuff wasn't animated, could you imagine the uproar from at least a certain segment of fandom?
I'll tell you the uproar I'm looking forward to is when, because it's Disney and RTD, when they come up with like a little young, basically, how they have young Spidey friends and young Jedi adventures, and they basically have stuff aimed at like 6 to 7 year olds.
Yeah.
When they do a Doctor Who version of that, I am so looking forward to seeing a certain segment of ancient fandom, particularly British fandom, lose their, particularly male, lose their minds over how they've debased this wonderful program. It's a kid's show. It's always been a kid's show. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
It'll be all white dudes in their 50s and older.
Exactly.
100%.
And they will be livid at like these little sort of, they used to call them SD back in the sort of little mini baby kid versions. They'll have like a little mini doctor or whatever, and people will freak out about it. It'll be glorious to watch. I will drink in their hate.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen. I think from what I gather, RTD's spin-offs are going to be basically at the same audience.
Completely
it's not,
making this up, but
yeah. But so probably if there is going to be an I mean, it's amusing that the intentions that one has at the a year ago are like probably like, those like 3 series you might have wanted to make. Well, one of those is going to have to be animated now. So can he just rewrite it as being an animated show? Because it might happen. Disney's sort of
on the other hand,
back,
with the writer's strike, they might go, hey, we need to buy a lot of British stuff.
Because the writer's strike is only North America. Am I correct? I'm not sure the full connotations of the looming writer's strike.
Allow me to dip into the past as we do on this show. I found a interview with Harlan Ellison about a year and change after the Starlost collapsed. And he's talking to some radio station in LA, ProPublica or something, or Pacifica, I believe, because he's swearing up a storm in 1974. Anyway, he's talking about how at the time a strike was coming up then and how he went up to Canada, and there was a reciprocal agreement, so they couldn't work on American stuff.
Right.
So it wouldn't surprise me if British stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if their unions are kind of in the same boat. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm guessing that might be the case.
It'll also depend on individuals involved as well. Like when in 2007, 8, whatever, when the WGA strike happened, I was in the pub with Steven Moffat talking to him about that, and he
yeah, no kidding.
He's a WGA member. So he was, as a British person, but he was still a WGA member. Could not
probably because of Tintin.
Partake. Yeah. I think Tintin he had just finished Tintin at that point.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
You probably have to become a union member to work in the States or something like that. There's probably complicated
something
rules.
that big, you absolutely do, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and imagine Russell T Davies having written for
the point being the geographical borders of the U.S. are not the confines of people who can't work if there's a strike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. Well, I mean, it looks like they're almost done shooting out was first season, given that they were, according to Doctor Who magazine, working on the Christmas special already. So, and yes, it is the Christmas special, not the holiday special in the magazine. They mentioned several times the Christmas special. So,
you know what you can do if there's a writer's strike? You can put all the quote-unquote old New Who and all the quote-unquote old classic Who all on Disney Plus to fill things out.
Oh, would that be something? I mean, something's going to happen there, right? I mean, in Canada, there's still no home for Doctor Who. It's nowhere. It's not on Crave anymore. It left on January 6th, I think it was. And there's nowhere. It's nowhere. It's nowhere to be found. So they're just waiting.
It's only on our respective DVD shelves, Stephen.
That's true.
Which, for whatever it's worth, I've cracked the plastic on season 22. Yes.
Well done. You get
finished off season 17, and then we're most of the way through 22 right now. Just got the last 2 discs to go, so Timelash and Revelation. And you were saying you haven't watched the VAM on that yet?
I have once again, because I'm in
not even the Michael Grade interview.
No, I forgot all about it. I was watching one a day, and I recently went through season 22. And I don't have time to watch all the VAM every day. I mean, it's a 45-minute episode. I'm watching one a day, and it's just like, I got this and so I just sort of like went right past it. I think again, I forgot about the Michael Grade stuff. So yeah, forgot about it. I better watch it because I've been waiting for that, and now I haven't watched it yet. So.
Even
you're a bad fan.
I am.
The Colin Baker thing at like an hour and 20 minutes or whatever is really, really good.
Yeah, I need to watch that too. And the Nick LeBryant's the other one on that one.
It could be I haven't hit that one yet. Then.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm bad. I haven't even watched the Doctor Who cookbook thing. I know that won an award.
There's even stuff from.
Don't do homework.
Panopticon, I think, 1997.
Oh, really?
With,
wow.
Jacqueline Pierce, and yeah, she's like I expected Jacqueline Pierce to be.
She's on form.
Yeah.
She's going to make it to Gallifrey 1 several years ago, but couldn't make it. I believe it was for a drugs charge.
A marijuana conviction.
I think it was a marijuana conviction. We could say that.
Maybe not conviction, but something along those lines. Something in that neighborhood.
There was something in that neighborhood that prevented her from getting into the States, so that's why she couldn't be in California. We could say that.
More than welcome in Canada, where it's legal.
Yeah, we could have had her in Canada.
Honestly, but
sadly passed on now. The legend that was Jacqueline Pierce.
Yeah.
But.
In that con interview, she was. I have no idea what the context or history was, but she was dispelling rumors of having a 10-year-old boy in her hotel room and doing drugs with him.
What is happening in 1997? Wow. Dispelling rumors. So do I want to know how the rumors started?
No, I don't want to know.
No.
Let's not disparage the dead.
Yeah.
I've done no research. I've looked nothing up. I just know what she said on the interview couch.
Wow. So, hope you're enjoying this.
Anyway.
902 episodes of this, kids. This is where you find out about Jacqueline Pierce potentially, allegedly doing drugs with the 10-year-old in her hotel room. Allegedly. I need to watch that now. There's a selling point. Season 22 on Blu-ray right now.
Is it? I don't want to watch it now.
Well, I think it's important to be seen, to know some context.
Pretty unpleasant, actually.
Yeah, to what we just talked about.
Still have season 2, season 9, Galaxy 4. Evil
because you got season 9 when you were in the United Kingdom, weren't you? Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
and I've yet to crack the plastic on that one, but I'll get to it in time after season 2.
It's big and clunky. I have enough room now on my shelf to put season 2, but it is nowhere near the rest of the classic series because they don't fit. They don't fit right. No. It's just like this massive block. What is this?
The UK ones are like twice the width of what we're used to.
Huge, just huge. Yeah. And I like a nice compact shelf. So sorry, it's gonna have to stay there. So. Hey, congratulations to Steven Moffat. He won that Terrance Discks Award for writers at the recent DWAS convention, the Capital 6 Decades.
Which is this weekend. Yeah.
This weekend just happened. Wow.
It's happening. Yeah.
Happening. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be done. Yeah, won the...
what a lovely statue, by the way.
Yeah, the second recipient to the Terrance Discks Award for writers. One can only assume... Who won the first? Was it Terrance Discks? Anyway, he won, so good for him. Yeah, and he was there. He was there to collect it too, because even though he's a writer of hit TV shows and stuff, Steven Moffat turns up for Doctor Who events because that's the kind of cat that Steven Moffat is. So, or indeed hangs out in pubs talking about writers' strikes with Chris in 2008. That's what he does too. That's the kind of guy he is. So that's
all he's done. That's his only accomplishment. That's what he won the award for, actually, hanging out in the pub talking to Chris in 2008.
Yeah. Well done for hanging out in the pub. Yeah. I should also mention that because it's floating through our timeline today, that Murray Melvin, who played Billis, what's his name in Torchwood season 1?
Billis
Manger. Passed away at the age of 90. He is in Barry Lyndon, of all things. He is a legend, apparently. Yeah, he's in Barry Lyndon.
He is in Barry Lyndon. He told me this before, I'm sure.
He's one of the cats towards the end of the movie there. He's, I think he's the lickspittle of somebody.
Okay. Well, that doesn't narrow it down, Barry Lyndon.
No.
But okay.
Love Barry Lyndon. Anyway, Murray Melvin, 90, age of 90. Lots of tributes for him over that on Twitter today. So sad news, but a legendary career and life for Murray Melvin. It's I don't know if you know this, but this is Doctor Who's 60th anniversary year, and stuff continues to be announced and proposed for the celebration therein. But not enough Doctor Who on the TV. There should be 52 episodes of Doctor Who this year. None of it changed for kids.
I like how you're about to die there from the sounds of things.
It should be bloody this, and I don't like it. It's got to be 80 episodes of this year. There's going to be 6 new novels coming on October 26th, each one set in a different decade, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, aughts, and 10s, written by...
It's still awkward as hell to say.
It's the aughts?
Yeah, both those decades are weird to say.
The 10. What do they call that decade 100 years ago? Oh,
we just called them 1910s and 1900s. Just call them the 2010s, the 2000s.
The 2010s. Yeah,
sounds better, honestly.
The 2010s.
Beats naughties anyway.
No, I don't like that. I don't like that one.
No, I don't either. That's like Cool Britannia for stupid names.
I do like to. I remember back. I used to call back in '06 because it sounds like I'm an old grizzled prospector.
That's true. It does sound when it was like a couple years prior at the time.
Yeah, it's like that was like
back in '06. 2 years ago. Yeah,
18 months ago. What are you talking about? Yeah, that's exactly it. Anyway, six new books coming out October 26th. There's no photos. I like photos. I like pictures of covers and stuff. They don't even
that way you don't have to read it.
I know they don't even have names. They just have just the 1960s novel.
I like how indignant you are about something you're never going to look at.
I know. I'm so bad. at it. Oddly enough, they say October 26th in the UK. It comes out December 12th here in Canada. So it's it's Canada. So yeah, 6 new books coming out. That's part of the 60th anniversary celebrations. So there you go. This came out a little while ago, and I forgot all about it, even though I immediately bought it, of course. But the 3rd volume of Doctor Who: The Complete History came out. Issues 61 to 80.
Fourth.
That's right, 4th. Which I have on my iPad, and it's there for when I need to bring it up to look into things. I should be doing that now. Instead of watching Michael Grade interviews, I should be reading about the making of Timelash and the Doctor Who Complete History. Anyway, the last batch takes us up to the Witch's Familiar, the very beginning of Series 9. So I don't remember how many they actually made for this, like when they stopped, and indeed did they stop? Did they stop at the end of the Peter Capaldi era, perhaps, and that's when they wrapped it up? I actually don't know. So
I am unaware.
Not a clue.
Okay. Well,
but, I mean, if they're that far along, then there's probably only one more to go anyway, or two more.
Yeah, probably actually. It's kind of sad, but because they look really good, and I've always wanted them, and I have them now. I remember I looked up the one for Planet of the Giants for the very commentary that you're about to hear in this podcast, but the rest are there basically as, reference material just waiting to be dug into at the appropriate moment, which is the kind of books, Warren, that I like. The ones that don't sit there and yell at me to read them. Okay. Yeah.
They don't yell at you
cover.
I'm not getting into this. Forget it.
I have lots of books, just so you know. I have lots of books, many of them that are very interesting to me and I want to read, and they are unread.
I mean, I have that same problem. I have a TBR pile that is, frankly, I have a TBR shelf, frankly. Mm-hmm. But I've also got a bunch of books in other TBR shelves that have been read, so HBR shelves.
Yeah, I have those too. I have one, there's one on Star Cops, there's one on the tripods. There is one on
I'm laughing.
There's one of the California Golden Seals, Warren. I love the California Golden Seals, and defunct NHL franchise from the 60s and 70s that I want to read about, and it's not getting read right now. There's one about the 1972 Summit Series by Ken Dryden that I want to read, and I haven't read it.
I have a biography of the guy who created the Sandbaggers. I still haven't read that.
Ian McIntosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, who also co-created a series called Warship, co-created with Anthony Coburn, who of course was involved in the very early days of Doctor Who. And a listener emailed us to say, here's another show, that the name of which I forget. That the purpose of the show that he emailed was completely forgotten, but I went to the YouTube channel on which this show is on, and all of Warship is on there. And so naturally I dug very, very briefly into Warship. To look for Doctor Who actors, which I very, very ably did. It was very enjoyable. So now that and another YouTube channel that has some old Z cars has shown up. So yeah, there's modern streaming series. There's no hope for you now with me. I've got old episodes of Z cars to skim through and spot guest act. Listen, I saw Elizabeth Sladen. She played a character called Rose. I think it was an episode from 1973. There was
what Z Cars about? Is it futuristic? It sounds futuristic.
It does, but it's not. It's
a cop show.
It's a cop show. There's and another one that I found. Let's just drop in on this one from 1967. And Malcolm McDowell was in it in an episode directed by Douglas Camfield. It was amazing.
Is Z Cars what the Sweeney was reacting against?
No, you know what? I don't know the whole history of this, but Z Cars came on well before, it started in this.
I just mean in terms of tone.
Early 60s. I think they probably, I think the Sweeney kind of is what brought Z Cars and Dixon of Dock Green to an end. It was all very,
that's what I mean.
It was all prim and proper British stuff, and then the Sweeney came along.
Is all tough.
All tough, so I think that's
kind of boring, frankly. I tried watching it, I couldn't get through it.
I know, it's weird how film productions in those days are kind of this is slow. How did this happen? Anyway, spotting Doctor Who actors in old British TV shows remains one of my favorite pastimes.
I was looking at his IMDb stuff. Was it The Newcomers? Was that the show?
No.
Don't plant more seeds, Chris. Don't do it.
It was not The Newcomers. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I've saved the email from the listener, but I don't remember the name of it because I fell down on... He wanted me to go down one rabbit hole. I veered off and found another one.
What a surprise.
I know. I think it's kind of like one of those spy-fi shows that... or maybe just a secret agent show that's kind of like it might have starred Peter Wingard. I don't remember because he compared it to Jason King, so I'm not sure if he was in it or not. I can't remember. Don't at me. I'll just check the email once we're done recording. I'll find out. But anyway, lots of listen, I don't actually watch a lot of these shows. I actually just sort of skim through until a new scene happens and they go, oh, let's have a look. Let's see if we recognize any actors here. And then I try to name them, and I often do. And I'm getting good at it, I guess is what you could say. I don't know if that's
good in quotes,
if that's a skill that I necessarily wanted to hone and perfect, but
So I just pulled up that email. Wild Alliance.
Sure, that's the one. I haven't actually looked at that one, but I found Zedcars.
Just to not make you feel too bad, I got a text from friend of the show, Sarah Murphy, the other day about teletext, and she sends me this and goes, "Is this like a 2-inch videotape?" I'm like, "You bet it is." Me and Steven yell about CFAX all the time to each other, so I'm no less guilty just about old technology instead of old TV shows.
Yeah. You watch
to the point where friends of ours are like, "Hey, weirdo, here's more weird stuff that you're probably into."
Just say, yep. Always grateful to have, because I don't know. Recently, I had a conversation with someone about Anthony Coburn, and so the Warship show came up, and I know that Ian McIntosh, what created the Sandbaggers, also co-created that, and then I couldn't find it anywhere.
Well,
there it was.
We were talking to Simon Garrier about Anthony Coburn.
Him too. I know. That was
Cali.
a different conversation. Because I think Graham Kibble-White's doing something with on Anthony Coburn. I don't know if that's announced yet or not, but he's working on something. So that's why the name is in our heads. I don't give a crap about Ashoka, but let me tell you, what about Anthony Coburn? This is where it's at, folks. Anthony Coburn.
Where's our Coburn limited series?
Where is our dramatized retelling of the Anthony Coburn saga?
Nobody cares.
Nobody does. I would care. I'd care. Let's see here. What else we got? Comics. Let's talk about some comics briefly.
I want to sing the praises of this cover.
The cover for Once Upon a Time Lord, which is Dan Slott's special one-off comic coming in October from Titan Comics. The cover came out, and it's resplendent with many things, Warren. Mm-hmm. What's in it?
First off, I'd just like to say, if you want to hear my interview with Dan Slott, go back to our Gallifrey episodes. It's in there, and he briefly talks, sort of tangentially about this, because there was not so much you could say at the time. Anyway, this has got, at a glance, Daleks, Cybermen, the Ice Warriors, the Sycorax, the Sontarans, Chronivores, a swarm of Wyrns, some toothy guys in the background I've never heard of, Sutek, and some mummies. And I think I'm missing somebody. Oh, there's Ood and the 10th Doctor riding a werewolf. Like, what more do you want in a comic book cover? For God's sake. And a Yeti, too. Yeah. I forgot about that.
The guys in the toothy, the flying are the Krillitanes from School Reunion.
I thought they're Chronivores. Well, aren't they the same thing?
No, those are Krillitanes.
No. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Those are two different winged beasts. They're probably, I bet you what, though? They're probably the same 3D model.
It might be, actually, back in those days. In the early days of CG, that could have been very well be the case, references, and I was trying to think, they're all the same Cybermen, although one of them has, like, glowing eyes and stuff, because it's a cyber leader controller.
Got the brain coming out of his head.
So
encased in his head, but visible.
Yeah. So that's going to be a blast. Yeah, Dan Slott, Christopher Jones, Matthew Dale Smith, good old Matthew Dale Smith, lovely fella, and Mike Collins all involved.
It's a very Christopher Ryan-looking Sontaran as well.
So it is. It is. Look at that. Yeah, modeled off him. Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't surprise me if they went to the work of, because Christopher Jones is the cover, of specifically doing a Christopher Ryan Sontaran.
Yeah, could be. All talented folks making this. Yeah. Making this comic book, which comes out in October from Titan Comics. So another thing celebrating the 60th anniversary of that television show we know and love called Doctor Who. Another television show that we know and love, but is been living on in audio form on Big Finish, is Star Cops High Frontier 2, of which is now available from Big Finish with 3 different stories, one of which penned by the script editor and our good friend Andrew Smith. Star Cops lives on. I feel like I just want to watch Star Cops again. I haven't watched it in quite a while. Star Cops. I've got Warship to skim through to look for Doctor Who.
Right?
Or no, it's not. And believe me, I have requested it in the past. But I think the openness that they were, in the very early days of BritBox launching here in North America, I think they were a lot more open to like interaction and stuff and suggestions, and now it's just like you get like a tweet a month. That's about it. So my suggestions have fallen on deaf ears, Warren, is what I mean to say.
Well, this is CBC Gem related, but I yelled about on social media briefly about Made in Canada only having 2 seasons, and lo and behold, seasons 3 through 5 are on there. So I can only assume it's because of my yelling.
I often wonder about if my suggestion / request of the Sandbaggers, and then I think like 2 or 3 weeks later, the Sandbaggers appeared on BritBox, and was that coincidence? Because I feel like it takes a lot more time and effort to get a show ready for BritBox than 2 to 3. But it's so out of the blue that why is the Sandbagger suddenly on there when nothing else from that era sort of is?
Too, I mean,
no, you know what? I'm claiming victory. I'm claiming victory for the Sandbag.
Sure.
Just like I claim responsibility for the special edition of Day of the Daleks being on there by accident, because I pointed out that it was the wrong aspect ratio for Day of the Daleks that they put on there, and they accidentally threw on the special edition, and it's still there to this day. Sorry, everyone. I didn't tell them to put the special edition. I just said the aspect ratio is wrong. Silently in a DM. I did it via DM. I didn't publicly flog them or anything, if you're ever wondering how to properly tell someone that they've messed up. Like when you put the wrong commentary on the wrong podcast, like a certain podcast did last week.
God, amateurs.
That's a way to do it. Let's look back in time with the Timelash. How about where we look back at this week in history? I imagine probably this will wrap up in like June or July, because then it becomes really quiet and stuff. We'll have to think of something else to fill time on this podcast. I think we've basically done 2 years around, once for just broadcast dates, and now we've sort of done more behind the scenes. And if we did it for a third year, we just end up repeating ourselves, which has never happened on this show. But let's look back at April 16th in history, a massive day in Doctor Who history for many different reasons. The birthday of Derek Sherwin, former script editor, story editor, writer, and producer of Doctor Who in the mid to late 60s, who appeared on this show in episode 420. I had to Google that before we recorded, but interviewed him over Skype. Also, the birth of Anthony Root, who had a 6-month sojourn of being a script editor for Doctor Who before Eric Sayward came in. So how about that? Huge day. But there's other stuff too. What is jumping out at you on this day in history there, fellas? Anything you want to talk about?
1974 was a barn burner.
What happened in 74?
Well, Elizabeth Sladen and Ian Marter contracted for 26 episodes each, which is pretty sweet.
Yep.
And then Planet of the Spiders being recorded at the same time.
How about that? What a day at the BBC Television Centre. It's like, let's get you signing these contracts, and now, Sladen, get to work. Which you did. And then 10 years after that, in 1984, the office of Graham MacDonald, the BBC's head of drama, informs John Nathan Turner that no additional funding will be provided to permit location filming in New Orleans, Louisiana for the two Doctors. So they had to relocate it to Seville, Spain. It was going to cost a lot of money. I watched the production notes on the Blu-ray, and it was going to cost a lot of money to go to the U.S.
And even then, before Seville, they were wanting Venice, I think.
Venice, which is like, Venice in summertime. Yeah, that's usually their quiet time and one of the hotly visited tourist destinations in the world. So,
not related, but where was Vampires of Venice actually filmed? It was not Venice.
It was Croatia. Yeah, it was Croatia.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
which did not exist at the time. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Yugoslavia was a thing, and maybe there was an Iron Curtain. Plus, I don't think they would have gone to Yugoslavia. And
no, God, no.
In the BBC time in those days, yeah.
And then in the words of Chris Rock, grand opening, grand closing. 2005, the BBC announces David Tennant has been cast. 2008, David Tennant informs Steven Moffat and Piers Wenger he's leaving.
Yep. That was only 4. I know. Maybe David Tennant waited for that actual day. Probably not, but
that wouldn't surprise me.
Is it his birthday coming up? I think he's born on April 18th. I think. I bet you're gonna get to it. Spoilers, folks. I know there's
right.
I know there's 3 Doctors like born with in like a week of each other. Davis and Capaldi last week.
April 18th. Yeah, so we'll get there in a couple of days.
We may have covered this before, Chris, but what's your opinion, like, because there's only 3 weeks really, or whatever it ends up being, of the 14th Doctor? Is it just the 10th Doctor himself, or the fact that Tennant's going to be the 14th? Does any of that bug you, that he's going to be the new Doctor, is what I'm asking?
Oh.
Because I know you don't love his era.
No, I don't.
He's your McCoy, if you will.
He's your McCoy, yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to adopt a wait and see kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Well, it's not going to be long. That's the thing, you know. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be there for long.
So he's there for a good time, not for a long time. So I don't know. We'll see.
I think.
I mean, my initial stuff is like, I wish that they weren't revisiting things like, Donna. But that seems such a natural thing as well that it's kind of hard to not have that.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm waiting to see as well. Let's see what they pull off here. Maybe they pull off something great. Maybe they Picard this.
Well, they got good people making it. Rachel Talalay directed the first one, so I'm really looking forward to that. So, and as I keep saying, it's going to be 3 days. I think it's going to be 3 days: November 23rd, 24th, 25th. That's just my gut feeling. Yeah, over the Thanksgiving weekend, launches on Disney Plus. That is just what I think is going to happen.
Or they sort of extend everything out to Christmas, and then Christmas is where Shooty shows up. I'm just spitballing.
Well,
here.
no, Shooty is showing up at Christmas, but it's the spacing of the Tennant specials that is the question, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right.
Yeah. It just feels right. It feels like it's going to go that way. That's based on absolutely nothing other than a gut instinct on this one.
Well, and 60th anniversary, you'd want to celebrate that all at once, more or less, right? So.
Kind of, yeah. Like it'd be easier to build up, to start something on the 60th anniversary and then have a whole weekend to celebrate, as opposed to leading up to it, and culminating.
I wonder if they'll put it in the theater. Like, I wonder if the big one where he turns into Shooty is the theater one.
I miss those days. I miss the theater screenings of Doctor Who. Yeah, it's a good question, Warren.
I am going to Superman the movie at 7 p.m. tomorrow, which is tonight as Sunday, people hear this, and it will be in the very, at least theater complex that I saw Day of the Doctor in 2013.
Well, they're doing, speaking of Picard earlier, they're doing a Picard IMAX screening or something for the final 2 episodes in some places in the States. Yeah, in the U.S., but, so it's still a thing, I guess, but... I don't remember what the what it was like. I think it might have just been a website post, and like the last item on BBC News or something about David Tennant being cast as the 10th Doctor. I remember it just sort of happening, like it just sort of says, "Oh, okay, David Tennant's here," and like it was before Twitter, so it wasn't like tweeted about or anything like that. It just sort of like, there he is, David Tennant.
No.
I think it was in
there he went.
Was he in costume?
I don't think so.
The shot on the outside in the very cloudy day in Cardiff with Billy Piper at the TARDIS and David Tennant at the front. I can see that, I don't remember if that was a launch or not.
I can't think of anything but the costume, but that doesn't mean they took a picture of him in costume.
Yeah, did he actually debut? Like, was he in his announcement? Was it? I don't remember. Don't remember. Could look it up, but take time and effort. So we're not going to do it.
I found the press office. The press release for it.
Okay, what did it say there? David Tennant is new Doctor Who.
David Tennant confirmed as the 10th Doctor Who.
Oh. That seems odd. It happened on a Saturday, too, obviously, because it also coincided with the debut broadcast of everyone's favorite Aliens of London on BBC One. Same day. What a weird time. It's just like, here's your new Doctor. Here's Doctor Who. It's back. He's gone.
And then a TV special for the next one.
Yeah, and then 4 episodes in, we've announced a new Doctor. Yeah. Very odd. Very odd time in Doctor Who history. Odd and exciting time. Let's move on. How about to April 17th? Birthday David Bradley. Happy birthday, David Bradley, the third actor to play the first Doctor. How about that? Born in 1942.
An excellent first Doctor, as far as I'm concerned.
Very good first Doctor. Very good as William Hartnell in Adventure in Space and Time. Very
technically good. way beyond the third actor as well.
Technically correct.
This is where I'm hoist on my "there's no official pretend" Picard.
You know what?
Petard, not Picard.
I should have listened to my instincts because there was a Doctor Who quiz, an official Doctor Who BBC quiz that we're talking about actors in Doctor Who. So this will be fun. And so I took it, and it says, how many actors have played the Master? And I was thinking, interesting. Are they going to count Gordon Tipple? Chris's favorite Gordon Tipple. And let me tell you, folks, they did.
They did?
So if you, they totally did. So I didn't select it. I thought I got to include Gordon Tipple, including Gordon Tipple. So
I'm assuming, I trust they did not include the Master from the Mind Robber.
No, we're talking about the Time Lord, the Master, not just...
Good.
characters
Fan
named
conjecture.
the Master.
I
yeah.
can just see some random intern Googling things and say, oh, the Master was in the Mind Robber.
Yes.
Let's put him on the list.
And
Listen, let's not slag interns when Alex Kurtzman doesn't appear to have a clue what the hell anything in Star Trek is, and he's in charge of it, or was, or still is,
that's
kind of.
true.
So it's not always the intern's fault. Sometimes it's the guy in charge.
100%, Warren. 100%. What else happened in this day in history? Anything you want to bring up there? Lots of contracts being signed.
Yeah, there's a lot of raw business happening.
Deborah Watling contracted for Evil of the Daleks. Her first story.
Yeah, we'll give you 7. We'll give you 7 episodes. Here's the money. We'll see if you're good enough. Basically, is how it worked back then. Nicholas Courtney and John Levine are also given money to be in Robot. Which is the tail end of that there, as they continue to make Planet of Spiders, because they were kind of making those almost like simultaneous. It's a rare moment in Doctor Who history that we're doing that. But
I wonder what on what day in 1974 the Action Man tank was contracted to be in Robot.
You mean who went down to the Sainsbury's to pick it up? Yeah, I don't know.
One of the greatest days in Doctor Who history. Yes.
Yeah. They probably just said, here's a $5. Go down to the shops, get yourself a tank. We have an effect shot to make.
Go to Woolies and buy a couple.
Listen, I've said this before. I absolutely love how cheap that stuff looks. It's great.
It's so great. Oh, they're doing their best. It's 1974. What can you expect, Just saying. Let's move on. April 18th, as we said, happy birthday, David Tennant and Camille Kaduri and David Whittaker, all born not the same day, different years, across the ages. David Tennant is now 52 years old.
Right on, brother.
Yeah, 52. How about that?
He's Camille Kaduri is almost 60.
Who's almost? She is almost 60. I just find it amazing that David Tennant will be 52. He was 51, maybe even 50 when they made his new 3 episodes. He's David Tennant will be 3 years or 4 years younger than William Hartnell when he premiered in the role in 1963. Just saying.
Yeah,
presumably healthier.
Little bit. Yeah, 52 in 2023 years is a little less than 53 in 1963.
I'm counting on that being 52 in nerd years in 2023. So
yeah. Well, I mean, you have curtailed your rampant chain smoking, Warren. Which is good.
and boozing it up at the local BBC pub.
That's true.
Which I do quite a bit of.
Yeah, that's a little less, but yeah. I think you're in better health than poor old Billy Hartnell was in 1963. But
what a standard to you by.
I know. Also, I don't think you fought in any wars or had to endure any other things like that. Or I think you had it pretty easy, Warren. Had it pretty easy.
Didn't dodge the Spanish quote unquote influenza. Let's say the proper name.
Polio. That was a thing of the past. Yep.
And still is. If anti-vax idiots are to be not believed.
Yeah. Where's your Cuban Missile Crisis, Warren? Didn't have to worry about that, did you?
There you go. There's 9/11.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Anyway, anything else happening on April? I mean, that's a big enough day that April 18th has 3 Titans of Doctor Who born on it that I think we just move on. Move on to the April 19th. Derek Sherwin, mere days after his birthday, is commissioned to write a new first episode for The Mind Robber, extending it from 4 episodes to 5. Why was he done that? Because why was he done that? Why did he do that?
Say that in a British accent. Come on.
What was he done that?
There we go, better.
Because he, of course, took several looks at the Dominators and said, nope, we're making this in 5 episodes. It's crap. Well, guess what, Derek Sherwin? You still owe us another episode. So I had to write a whole episode with no budget. And episode 1 of The Mind Robber is pretty good. Pretty good and weird and spooky and stuff. So there, that's what happened. Anything else jumping out at you on April 19th?
Death of Liz Sladen sounds pretty important.
Sucks.
Yeah, that was very sad. That was a very sad and shocking day back in 2011, April 19th. That happened. Yeah, very, very sad. Like, sometimes you can have a celebration of life and stuff when someone passes on, but it just felt like such a shock. And Very sad. Like, she's just in her early 60s, I think, was the slate, and it just seems very, very early. Far too soon for a wonderful person and a wonderful companion. Yep. Bad day.
She was 65, apparently.
65. That's nothing. Let's move on then. April 20th. Happy birthday, Louise. Everyone's born this week. April 20th. Louise Jameson was born back in 1951. She is wonderful and lovely, and so happy birthday to her. I'm always reminded of this because the official BBC Doctor Who account tweets out people's birthdays. So I'm thinking, oh, it's that day. We talked about this earlier this week. So, speaking of Debbie Watling, Victoria leaves this day in history.
Yeah.
April 20th, 1968, at the end of episode 6 of Fury from the Deep. No longer in the archives. Boo-hoo. Anything else jumping out at you for April 20th?
Peter Grimwade commissioned to write The Planet of Fire.
So he was. I think that was done basically as Eric Sayward says, well, John Nathan Turner has created a vendetta against you for some reason, so you can't ever direct a Doctor Who again. But what about writing it? So he did. Because he was going to direct The Return at the end of season 20, and that got canceled because of a strike. And so Peter Grimwade says, well, I'm going to take all the crew out for supper or something, or have a party, but then I'm also later on going to have a nice meal with John Nathan Turner. And John Nathan Turner saw it as a snub for not being invited to the party and blacklisted him, basically. So
this is how TV works, people. This is exactly how TV works.
Yep.
A bunch of egotistical nonsense.
Mm-hmm. So we never had... The Return, of course, ended up being Resurrection of the Daleks, which was remounted next year for part of season 21. But that was directed by Matthew Robinson, and Peter Grimwade instead wrote Planet of Fire, which he had a laundry list of tasks to do. Write out Turlough, write out the Master, write out Chameleon, introduce Perry, and also set it in Lanzarote. And it's an okay story. It looks nice because it's in Lanzarote and stuff, but... Did what he could. Peter Grimwade. Underrated. Peter Grimwade was one of our first Miniscope subjects, I want to say, way back when we started this.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. We talked about him. So probably not as in-depth as we probably could have. I think we do a little more in-depth stuff when it comes to Miniscopes these days. But given that he wrote and directed for the show, it feels like we could have done more. But we're not going back, so...
RFS 234, Grimwade Syndrome.
Oh, wow. 234.
Good name, good title.
We've been doing miniscopes for like 700 episodes, pretty much.
That was
it's ridiculous.
January 2011.
That is
good gravy.
Madness. Golly, we've been at this a while. I know I'm not just talking about this episode. Let's move on. Kind of. What are we going up to? The 22nd, right on this one? I just want to skip the days.
We're on the 20th right now.
20. Well, we're on the 21st now. I've moved on.
I was going to say on the 20th, 2013 debut broadcast of Hyde.
Hyde, that one's good. The good Neil Cross Doctor Who's episode.
And you know, sorry, go. You want to talk about Hyde, Chris? Go for it.
I was just going to say that was the Doctor Who fans' introduction to Jessica Raine as well.
It was.
To be seen as Verity Lambert.
That's true. Did we know that she was going to be Verity Lambert?
No,
they might have announced it. I think they announced it, and then she was in this. Because I remember.
I don't recall.
I don't remember the timeline, but anyway.
What I like about Hyde, besides it's very good, is that it gets shooting everything so it looks kind of gray, right? Unlike everything on Netflix, these guys, it's a very subtle difference, but they know how to make it look drab but cool.
Actual shot on some of those scenes are shot with actual candlelight because that's where it is now. You know, that's where technology is at, where you can actually film on a BBC show with candlelight without having to rely on lenses from NASA like Kubrick did for Barry Lyndon, which is going to get second mention in this podcast for some reason. Yeah, it felt like the 1970s. It
totally did, yes.
Brown. You know, it was just like, yep, this
but
is...
But in a good way.
Yeah, very good way. Yeah, I can't remember who directed Hyde.
Jamie Payne?
Jamie Payne. Yep, that rings a bell. Really, really good job directing Hyde. Yeah, that was a good episode. I like Hyde. Spooky atmosphere. Good stuff. Yeah. And then Neil Cross, on the strength of that, says, tell you what, can you bang up another episode We don't have time to script edit it. Do whatever you want. I don't know. Singing? Sure.
Yep.
And thus the Rings of Akaton was born.
Oh, well.
Yeah. But Hyde is good, so that's the important thing. 21st? Shall we do the 21st? Let's do the 21st. More birthdays, everyone. Gerald Flood, he voiced Chameleon and appeared on screen in The King's Demons as King John. Was born 1927. And Anthony Reid, script editor of Doctor Who in season 16 and 17. Oh, not 17. 15 and 16. And also wrote Underworld. Did he write Underworld? No, Bob Dave. No. Who did he write? Anthony Reid wrote other things like The Horns of Daimon.
Invasion of Time, Horns of Daimon.
There we are. I like Anthony Reid. Had a very fantasy approach that really meshed well with Graham Williams, I thought. Quite like Anthony Reid. So he was born on that day in 1935. And birth of Gugu Mbatha Raw, who played Tish Jones, but she's gone on to have a massive career.
Yeah, she's on Loki. She's done a ton of stuff. And what I find interesting is she's the only person who doesn't have a picture on this, not that I could see it, even though she's the most famous thing at all in any of this.
Well, birthdays don't have pictures for what it's worth. There's no picture of Gerald Flood, Warren.
I suppose that's
I don't
true,
hear you complaining about that.
I also always forget she played Tish.
Because my universe only evolves around Doctor Who. That's all I know her from. Because I'm awful. Wasn't she in? Or am I thinking of somebody else? Wasn't she in a bunch of American series? Wasn't she?
But she's definitely in Loki, and she's quite good in that.
She's in Loki. I thought she was in. I might be thinking of someone else who's in the that law show, The Good Fight. I think it was called. Is that the one she's in? I can't remember now. She's in a lot of stuff.
If it's not sci-fi, I have no idea.
I have no idea. Yeah. And if it's not Doctor Who, I have no idea. 1972, Terry Nation is commissioned to provide a storyline for Planet of the Daleks. This is his first Dalek storyline in 8 years since Dalek Master Plan. And
the headline is recycled as a script. Come on.
And exactly 1 year later, debut broadcast of Planet of the Daleks episode 3.
Wow.
Which, for the longest time, several of us had no idea it existed.
No idea.
Because it didn't exist, kind of, because it was never sold. It didn't exist in the archives in color, so the episode was never sold with the rest of the Planet of the Daleks for omnibus purposes.
Yeah.
So what we would see watching it on PBS is it skips from the end of episode 2 to the start of episode 4. So the whole sequence of them parachuting up the vent thing,
the shaft thing,
not there.
No,
you just they were in prison and then they weren't, and you don't know why.
No, but you know what? Did we ever notice? I didn't.
Totally not.
No, I only on the 80th viewing when I watched the omnibus version. I go, what is that? I wasn't paying attention, as is often the case when I'm watching Planet of the Daleks. How did the Doctor get out of there? Because they also trimmed out a lot of the scar tissue around on episodes 2 and 4 as well. They trimmed everything. It was a skillfully done edit. I will give them that, to make that omnibus version. But I remember my first, the alarm bells first rang when I was putting it on videotape and thinking, wait a second. This only showed that turned into an hour and 58 minutes or something like that. And I'm thinking, this is according to the Doctor Who production guide here, this is a 6-part story, so it should be about 2 hours 20. What is going on? It's very, very mysterious.
Yeah. It was also episode 3 of that was also, I think, the first lost episode I ever saw. Back in the days of VHS trading and people who had their hands on copies of things like that.
Now, if I remember the days of VHS trading and people had hands, they were probably a real pain in the butt to get, because people with those copies were a real pain in the butt. I'm subtweeting someone in particular from Edmonton.
Right. I was never a part of that. I don't remember when I watched this. Did I see, because I know that our local PBS station, KSPS in Spokane, aired the black and white version of Invasion of the Dinosaurs. That was around 1995. That was towards the end, and I did tape it. And
for episode 1?
Yeah, and I cannot remember when I first saw Planet of the Daleks black and white version. If it was after that or before that.
Would have been late 80s, early 90s for me.
For you, yeah. I never saw it on VHS. I know that. I might have only been when I discovered the internet and BitTorrent and just downloaded it. Because I for sure have seen the black and white version. I now, of course, it's colorized on the Blu-ray, but
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, good old chroma dots.
Man, chroma dots.
I'll never not be amazed by that.
Right? Little film colored information that is locked in a black and white film recording that you can just pull out and just there it's color again. Completely by accident almost. And that should have been switched off by all the tape operators back in the day. And they only did it for literally one episode of The Mind of Evil. That's causing us great consternation years to come when we had to color that by hand. Amazing.
That one did take a while.
It did take a while.
Mind of Evil, I also distinctly remember the DVD getting pushed back and back and back and back as they kept having to work on the colorization of that.
Yep, on that one episode. Thanks, studious, pedantic BBC tape employee in 1971. Well done. Could have just not done your job like all the other times, but yeah.
Wow.
Had to do his job.
It's quite the roller coaster we went on there. That guy's imaginary career.
Well, I imagine that the reason we have Doctor Who missing episodes is like, well, this is the only existing copy left, but orders say we gotta chuck it in the burner, so let's chuck it in the burner. So that's what they did. That's why I have no episodes. Let's move on. Last one, April 22nd. Happy birthday, Michelle Ryan. She played Lady Christine de Souza in everybody's favorite Planet of the Dead.
Yeah.
Greatest Easter episode ever made for Doctor Who. And the only one.
You bet.
Yeah.
This is where I get scared of RTD and his hype machine, because sometimes his hype machine is just not right.
I know what you mean.
Death of Kenny McBain, one-off director for the aforementioned Horns of Nimon.
That's right. Good old Horns of Nimon. One of the laziest Doctor Who directions.
There's a man who can really keep his actors in check.
I know, but he died young. He's only in like his 40s was Kenny McBain. Died in 1989.
And to be fair, why do we all love Horns of Nimon? It's exactly because he didn't keep his actors in check.
Exactly. You know what? It probably sucked for 4 weeks in 79, early 80. But when you could just sort of pick and choose which Doctor Who you want to watch, I'm very happy that the Horns of Nimons exist to be there. Just
how many people at a convention have yelled, "How many Nimons?" Because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, to this day, I have a T-shirt that says, "How many Nimons have you seen today?"
And all because of Kenny McBain did not hold Graham Crowden in check.
Also, the God complex. When Matt Smith name checks the Nimon, we're all like, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy."
Yep. Nostalgia works sometimes. Nostalgia works.
Well, it works all the time, just on different people at different times.
That's true. All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap up before poor Chris's voice diminishes any further, diminishes in size, just like Doctor Who and his companions have in Planet of Giants, which you will now hear us talk about in episode 3 of our classic series commentary. Enjoy.
Condenser, most merciful. We're looking forward to excellent duodecaphonic sound.
This is the moment when I get a real feeling of job satisfaction.
Welcome back, folks. It's time for us to conclude our Doctor Who Classic Series commentary for Planet of Giants with Part 3, Crisis. So here we go.
Crisis-tunity.
Yeah, I hope you have still kept up to date with your legally purchased Blu-rays, DVDs, and VHS copies. It's fabulous news because we're going to watch it right now. Part 3 of 3, Crisis in 3, 2, 1, play.
What happened to the cat? That's the key of this whole...
Well, thankfully, nothing. As televised, nothing. That's what. So basically, we're watching the birth of Mission to the Unknown is what we're watching right now.
In a manner of speaking.
Very roundabout way, because so the backstory, for those that don't know, Planet of Giants was originally 4 episodes. The people who made the show saw the last 2 episodes and went, not enough is happening. Let's truncate this down. Let's chop 2 episodes into 1. And so they did. Roughly half and half of Part 3, Crisis, and Part 4, The Urge to Live, make up this episode. But at the end of the whole production block, they looked at the balance sheet and says, yep, listen, Doctor Who production office, we're the BBC and you still owe us one more episode, so make us another episode. And they couldn't make it with any of the regular cast because they have already been contracted out, even though most of them had moved on by that point. So they had to make Mission to the Unknown to basically a contractual obligation episode because of what we're watching right now. There you go.
I was just thinking, can you imagine if Barry Letts and 1970s CSO were unleashed on this? Oh my God. It would be, I don't think it'd be as good, frankly.
I think you might be right. I mean,
it'd be too much CSO.
Actually, yeah, we were running down previous instances of miniaturism, and I suppose the miniscope, oddly enough, is another thing when they're running around in it, and there's, jamming and tuning forks and stuff. And
oh, yeah.
Miniaturization in Into the Dalek.
Into the Dalek as well.
Armageddon Factor.
We did mention that, yeah. But this is a recap, because that was 3 weeks, of course, ago, and not at all an hour, because we're recording this all in one day, believe it or not, fact fans.
Good point.
Yeah. Write that down, future documentarians. We recorded this on January 15th, 2023.
Okay, first of all, nobody document our nonsense. And secondly, we better hope they don't.
Yeah. Don't worry, it says so in the production code of this episode, which you can find in the metadata. You can't. There's no production codes, sadly. The production code of this story is J, for what it's worth. J. I know, Warren, you wanted to know that, so that's why I told you.
Just reminds me of when Ernie and Bert's TV gets stuck on letters and it keeps saying J.
Does it really? Maybe they're watching Planet of the Giants.
It drove my mother completely mental.
Oh.
She's like, turn that off. I can't take it anymore.
They were either watching, or maybe we're watching a smattering of Planet of Giants, The Macra Terror, and The Demons, perhaps.
More smoking, by the way.
More smoking.
Doctor Who smoking.
Yeah. There's got to be an instance of somebody has jotted down. Probably Simon Guerrier in the back of Doctor Who magazine with sufficient data has probably mentioned the instances of smoking in Doctor Who. I want to say the last time people were smoking in Doctor Who might have been, oddly enough, on a spaceship in the 22nd century in Resurrection of the Daleks.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. I don't recall anyone smoking after that. What a weird director. What a weird thing when you think about it, Resurrection of the Daleks. We got to have her smoking on the bridge of a spaceship. It's
very odd. Well, everybody's so snarky, which I liked at the time. And now it's kind of a little grating, to be honest, even though I love Resurrection.
Yeah, I just, did the original script that Eric Sayward wrote, yeah, she's smoking in the set. Make her smoke.
They could just rename Resurrection of the Daleks Toxic Workplace.
Oh,
God.
God.
It literally is every single way you could think of. Down to the Daleks running around, polluting everything with their mutant.
It actually
mutant
makes
dust.
it a little better, honestly. I'm glad this new Dalek regime is taking over because...
yeah. They've got a bold new vision for this company.
Yeah, because Ruel Letzka is a tyrant. This is something that we don't do anymore, which is a shame. I want people to have, on an iPhone in a conversation in a movie, and this is, wait a second, let me put my friend on the line, and then pull out a handkerchief and put it over your iPhone, and then it sounds entirely different.
Well, most of the time, if you're doing that, it's because you're doing something sinister to begin with. So we should probably be glad we're not doing that.
I guess so. But I mean, as a plot element, I'm going to pretend to be this person. And I don't.
No, your phone dies instead because phones will get you almost out of every movie, basically.
I want to say that was it a Naked Gun or was it a Police Squad episode where they had someone do that? They had a gag where and then the person puts a handkerchief over the telephone. And it's quite clearly an entirely different person speaking, which is part of the joke.
My gut says Police Squad.
Yeah.
Just because they have more jokes per square inch, because it's 8 or 10 episodes?
6 episodes.
But still, that's just... Why is that more than Naked Gun, I guess?
6 episodes. That's all they did.
Yeah.
But Police Squad.
Yep, just
one
6.
Of the greatest shows of all time. 6 episodes.
And it's insane how that show, which completely tanked, became 3 huge movies.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially resurrected the career of Leslie Nielsen after it tanked it.
Yeah, forcing him to basically reprise that same sort of role in multiple awful movies.
All of them terrible.
Till he
Although
died.
there's one with Andy Griffith. I don't remember which one it is, but they do a flashback. No, it's him and Robert Guillaume, and I don't remember what the hell movie it is, but they think back to something that happened, and it's exactly the scene they just did, but in black and white. which I have to say, like the whole movie itself isn't great, but I actually did laugh out loud when I saw that. Like, oh, they're just doing the same thing over again, but black and white. Beautiful.
Oh man. Edmonton's own Leslie Nielsen.
That's right.
Born in Edmonton.
Now, he wasn't the one with the twin brother, was he?
No, it's Conrad Bain.
That's right, Conrad Bain. His brother was a dentist.
Also different strokes.
I can't believe we've had 2 different Strokes references in this podcast commentary series, folks.
Yeah, that's the power of Edmonton.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, what is Hartnell's face covered in? Vegetation? Coffee grounds? What is that?
Just schmutz.
There's schmutz. Also, we're watching something that was put onto 35 millimeter film because they transferred both master copies to 35 mil for editing purposes, you see. So we were watching a slightly lost generation of... and then, of course, it was turned into a 16 mil thing for overseas, which is what this comes from, so... Just in case you're wondering if, hey, wait a second, this picture looks slightly different than the previous 2 episodes. That's why. There's a fade, by the way. That was an edit. A blink and you miss an edit. You wouldn't have noticed that edit from chopping out 8 minutes of material of this episode, did you? It just faded to black.
So it's an omnibus edition is what you're saying?
It is. Kind of is, actually, yeah. Corks. I haven't eaten. Actually, I did. I ate breakfast before this, but I am getting a bit hungry.
Have some DN6.
I should have some. I want some puffed wheat with
Delicious
a little bit
DN6.
of DN6 smacks. Yeah, that'd be.
Yummy.
I want that original prop. Actually, that's just an end
Barbara's
table.
on her last tether here. She's just like, I've had enough of this.
Well, she's she's like suffering from the effects of DN6. She's playing it well. The hair is going a bit crazy, but
That's okay. She'll lose it soon enough.
Oh dear.
Jacqueline Hill, 1 convention appearance ever, 1985. I think Penobscot is what it was.
You know what that makes her? Smart.
Oh, boy. What happened at that convention to say, yep, never again, never again?
Nerds asked her questions?
Yeah, I know.
Or really comments more than questions.
Yeah. I know I've lamented about this on the podcast before, but there was a YouTube channel that was up for a little bit that had 80s convention appearances from the UK. With a lot of people who are sadly no longer with us, and that was like Innes Lloyd and William Ems and Jacqueline Hill was on there, and I just cool. Well, that'll be fun to look. And then the channel disappeared, and I don't know, and I've never seen those convention panels anywhere else on YouTube, and I regret not grabbing them when I had the chance. So if there's anyone out there who managed to grab them, well, you know where I am on this podcast, lamenting not having them. So. I'm sure there was some legality issue that probably yanked them down, in which case I've committed a felony by asking someone to provide them for me, in which case you are now an accessory to the crime. The person who is sending me them and you, Warren and Chris, are also accessories to the crime for not stopping me. So,
yeah, just add to the list.
Welcome to prison. I do love that Susan here, she's like, watch, her only job is to push a cork. And then she goes, oh my God. Oh, what effort. Oh, geez, that was tough. The other 3 had to lift a telephone receiver, and Susan just had to push a cork. Laying on a bit thick. Warren, I think you should wear more cloaks.
Any particular reason?
Just, I don't
look
know.
enough like Dracula at the moment?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm more of a Nosferatu guy, really.
Just like, I think more people in general should wear more cloaks, I think.
The problem with cloaks is they're easy to get messed up. Like puddles or splashing or getting caught in revolving doors.
Well, I mean, you don't wear like Hartnell's got a long one, but I'm thinking of
also,
Go on.
Well, I just remember growing up in Alberta, one of the key things I noticed is that there are a few men, probably some women, I just never saw it, that can wear a duster, but not many. And I think cloaks are probably going by the same principle. The odd person can pull off a cloak, but not everybody.
No, I know. That's why they need to be brought back to be maybe a little more, common, so we're not struck by that. I'm still seeing the image in my mind. The 1970 or 71 Grey Cup championship football game here in Canada, and Pierre Trudeau is walking down the steps in Calgary where it was being played, and he's got a big fedora on and he's got a cloak, and
that guy can pull it off.
Man, yeah.
I don't think his son could, but I'm pretty sure he could.
No, I don't think his son could pull off that cloak. I just think
Jagmeet Singh, maybe I could see Jagmeet rocking a cloak.
Possibly, I think
Pierre
that more,
Poilievre, only a wizard's cloak and cackling.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the purview of politicians, I mean, Harry Styles wears dresses sometimes just for the hell of it, and it's like, wear a cloak too. Do a cloak and see. Have a look here.
Pull off a cloak.
Bring it back.
Here's the thing about a cloak. To wear a cloak, you got to be confident. I can tell you right now that ain't me. So
that's true. As 16 years of this podcast / psychology experience has shown,
Skinner box. Yeah,
we have we've belittled you to this point. Anyway, we've just seen the end of episode 3, the original end. And if you think very little has happened, well, so did the BBC. But a cat has died in the course of the dramatically, and I'm afraid the cat who originally played the cat in this episode is also dead. But the bit about the cat eating the seeds and dying as well was one of the things that were excised, thankfully. So now, instead of Mervyn Pinfield directed Doctor Who, we are now watching Douglas Camfield in his first time directing Doctor Who properly. How about that? See if you can notice a difference. One of Doctor Who's greatest directors. I think it was actually Mervyn Pinfield who said, when they came to cobble this episode together, I think he said, you know what, give Douglas Camfield the directing credit and not me.
I insist. No, I mean it. He gets a gun out. I insist.
Yeah, do not put this on me. In retrospect, it was kind of odd that they sort of divvied up credit. Why didn't they just put both, directed by Mervyn Pinfield and Douglas Camfield? Maybe there was a BBC union rule or something.
I would bet there's some sort of crazy bureaucratic nonsense to keep that from happening.
Because I don't even think he's listed as associate producer on this either. But I don't remember when the associate producer credit for Mervyn Pinfield disappeared, but maybe he still had that. I have seen many screen grabs from that close-up used in many different recons of William Hartnell's stories. Whenever Hartnell needs to say something. Where's a good close-up of Hartnell? There he is, right there. You're no help, Susan.
No, she really isn't.
Susan,
why don't you go leave with David and an old duffer like me? One day I should be back, and I won't be visiting you.
No,
you disappointment.
It was a lie.
One more story.
Yeah, one day I should come back. Never until 2024 when the doctor.
Sure, it's never back. Susan. To quote friend of the show, Rachel Donner, it's never Susan.
Imagine if it was. There he is smoking again.
Oh God, why bother? Everybody else is.
Yeah.
Why? Why is everybody so damn obsessed with the first companion? I can probably answer my own question there.
Because of the closure. If he says one day, nah, I'm never coming back. But have fun here in post-apocalyptic Earth.
What I find funny about all this Susan idiocy is that Carol Ann Ford's still around. We could theoretically do it.
Yeah.
Or just bring her in as regenerating because she's a Time Lord.
Mm-hmm. Which is I mean, that's the thing. You can always just have her regenerate into,
exactly. But
let's face it, she'll have had plenty of opportunity to encounter situations that would force her to regenerate in 2164 AD.
But nobody ever goes for that. They always go for some insanely nerds, not everybody, nerds come up with some insanely overcomplicated ways that you could bring Susan back that nobody could actually explain in a reasonable way on television to the not we, which is what television, again, is for. So it's never going to happen.
Until it does.
Well, if it does, Russell T. Davies will find a good, quick workaround just to have it happen.
Right.
And so would Moffat, and so would Chibnall, frankly, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Nerds, just write fanfic if you want it to be complicated.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows what? Listen, literally as we record this, I just want to point this out, is that just speaking of what Doctor Who and the BBC and stuff, the BBC just tweeted out at 9:09 p.m. on January 15th, something to do with the Ninth Doctor. So they do something. They do funny little things that seem like, kind of crazy and pre-planned, and we think it's going to be its own. You never know.
Yeah, their social media person is pretty great, actually.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to praise Big Finish's social media person who's got to be under 20 because they really know what the hell they're doing.
I got to be under 20. They understand what TikTok is. Oh, like, just a minute. Let me go get that person. But Hilda doesn't. Hilda knows what's up. Look at this. You try to, don't try the old handkerchief over the phone with me. Oh, there we go. All because of snooping telephone operators. That's why the Doctor was saved. Or at least
surveillance state, am I right?
Yeah. Do you remember operators? Ever have to make a call with an operator? I do.
Vaguely.
Yeah, long distance.
My parents, my mom I was on a party line because she lived in a small town.
Jeez, party lines, man. That is
weird.
That is weird. That's not. That predates me, Warren. I'm not party line. I do remember.
Another thing. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Just working in small towns, as I did in the early 2000s, people would just rattle off the last four numbers. And at first I was like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, nobody has a prefix that's any different. Okay.
No, that's right.
Anyway, you were saying, sorry.
I was going to say two things. I remember making a collect call, I think long distance from Expo 86 back home because I was like 11. And B, what is the deal with bobbies and their helmet straps that go around their nose? I remember seeing that on
understood that either.
I don't know, but they did. That guy did. So, yep, just put it out. Just go like, what is the point of that? It looks ridiculous. No wonder people are laughing at you, English bobbies.
My sister had a teddy bear. It was an English bobby. And yeah, same thing. And I could never figure out why it did that with its nose.
Mm-hmm. Big old matchsticks. That would start a big fire.
That thing needs googly eyes. Stat. Mm-hmm. Come on. Put some googly eyes on that boy.
Yeah.
Hi there, I'm Mr. Match. Why don't you like me?
You know what? I know Doctor Who has always sort of been educational and stuff, but sometimes it can be dangerous because I've never seen a spray can explode, and after seeing how it explodes in this episode, I want to see how one explodes. So I never thought about it before I watched Doctor Who, but now I kind of want to explode things. So thank you, Doctor Who, for being so educational.
Turned you into a pyro.
I can't remember the reason behind it, but I know I tossed one into a fire pit once.
That sounds
for the sole purpose of it exploding.
Yeah.
Puberty? That's probably the reason. Puberty.
No, this sounds like probably somewhere in some drinking party in the bushes or something like that. That's what this sounds like.
Either or.
Yeah. Like how the dog's going, come on, you idiot. Don't you know how to light a giant match? There we go.
It's like that they joust it.
Mm-hmm.
I still say it needs googly eyes. In fact, everything in this needs googly eyes.
I agree.
And of course, all the flame, whatever, off camera.
It's just lighting.
Doesn't exactly exist, I'm sure.
No, and you know what? William Russell like does a great job of like acting like there's something flaming hot in front of him. Matt, when you were an actor in these days, you had to like really use your imagination. I suppose honestly, it's kind of come around to being that again, given how much green screen dominates movies and everything. You know, actors are so used to acting to nothing now. They'll fix it in post.
Yeah, it drove, speaking of Roger Rabbit again, it drove Bob Hoskins pretty much insane.
Oh, I imagine it was.
Although he does a stunningly good job.
No, he's incredible in that movie. I remember I heard him speak once. I go, what? He's English?
That happened to me with the guy who played Apollo. I don't remember his name, but the guy who played Apollo in Battlestar Galactica, because he does a very good American accent.
Jamie
in
Bamber?
Battlestar Galactica. Yeah, that's him. And all of a sudden, I'm at Comic-Con, we're interviewing him, and his English accent comes. I'm like, what the hell? What's going on here?
Is it really? DN6 is deadlier than radiation. I mean, it's made up, but
Look at that wee little gun. That is
I
a
know.
baby's gun. That's a gun you get in your stocking in America.
Oh. See, does a can of a canister blow out like that? I mean, was that an actual canister they blew up, or was that a prop that they had pre-cut? I don't know.
Yeah, no, they actually blew it up. He actually got injured. He's scarred for life.
Method acting, yeah.
Here, there's his big toe. They're just going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we can eat this for weeks.
Yeah. Let's dig in. So, I mean, it goes under his lip. That just like the chin strap of Bobby helmets are dumb. There, I said it, England.
It doesn't make any sense.
No sense. They're not even chin straps. They're like
Something I didn't grow up as bad. Basically, is what that boils down to.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've had our last cut of the episode.
The hell with this cloak. I've had it.
Yeah.
Give it back to Frodo.
She requires elvish medicine.
Lambus bread.
Well, and CSO of Elrond floating around, mumbling stuff at him. When I saw it in the theater, Fellowship of the Ring, I'm like, wait a minute, is that CSO? Nah, it can't be. But it sure does feel CSO-ish.
If only. It's a cute little model.
You know, the TARDIS model I have sitting underneath one of my monitors looks better than that.
The windows are the wrong size. Wow.
The way that's lit makes me think, was this shot at like 5 to 10? And they're like, okay, guys.
Oh no, it's on purpose, Warren.
I know. But sometimes you can't tell.
No, I know what you mean. It's draining power, you see. They are getting back to regular sizes. I love this bit where basically you can almost tell William Hartnell's like looking at camera 2 off the gun. See, right there, there you go.
Yeah, you missed your cue. Oh, well.
He's just like, he's looking straight at the camera as he's holding it up. Whoops. Oh, well. No time for a retake.
Where are all the other hobbits?
Yeah. Is that water or brandy? It should be brandy. It's always brandy in those days. Oh, it's water. Never mind.
This should be faking it.
Yeah. Aw, they're having so much fun together. What a great crew.
Nothing will ever happen to them.
Nothing at all. Ever.
Nope.
Yeah. Ooh. How about that?
Neato keen.
Yep. Science, everyone. Science.
Barely, yeah.
Oh. I think they just walked out of the I think they just walked out the front door. Direction wise, that's where they went. Oops.
My geography is all based on Adventure Space and Time, so they just walked past a camera there.
Yeah, they're just
Or
walking around the
somebody's
back. Yeah.
To that Cyberman who's smoking. He's just there for some reason.
Yeah.
Nobody's actually invented the Cyberman yet. He's just sitting there.
3
as a fire
years.
hazard.
Just waiting for a costume.
In silver underwear.
Yeah.
It's all quite untoward, actually.
Now, I remember watching the version that went out on YTV, which is the Lionheart version, chopped out that last shot of
Oh, wow.
yeah, because with the World's End and stuff, because they didn't.
There are no other episodes.
There are no other episodes.
Avert your eyes.
Next episode, of course, is the Dalek invasion of Earth, where we say goodbye to Susan and other people. But good job, Alan Fogg, David Whitaker, good old Raymond.
Producer Verity Lambert, I salute you.
Yeah. And Douglas Camfield, welcome to the rest of your life, Doctor Who. All right. That's it for that commentary. Hope you enjoyed that with us. The next course of action is to select the next classic series commentary. So, Chris, do you have the randomizer open? Please say yes.
She's ready to go.
She's ready to go. That is excellent news. Then begin the spinning of it now. Dipped back into the 60s after a couple of sojourns into the mid-15s. Series 10 we had there for a little bit, but I don't know. I don't remember anything about our commentaries. I don't know how many are left. I don't know how many have we done. I don't have any. We could pick a story that we've already done, and we could look at it as if we had never done a commentary for it before, and then probably say the exact same things as we did like 12 years ago, and I wouldn't know the difference. But we won't have to worry about that because Chris has curated the miniscope to remove the ones we've done before, and he'll have to remove this one once we've done it. Stop.
Modern Undead.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
Oh, what are you talking about? I love Modern Undead so much.
It's pretty tedious.
How dare you? Warren, it's
right.
the greatest episode of 1983, probably.
Yeah, keep going.
Maybe
Yeah, no,
for
it's
the...
not.
Love it. Oh, I love Modern Undead.
Of the weeks it was on? Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Modern Undead is so great. Chris,
I don't
what's your...
hate it. It's just kind of there.
Oh, do you like Modern Undead, Chris? Please say yes.
I do.
Excellent. See, there you go, Warren.
fine.
You're entirely wrong. This makes me happy. Modern Undead, everyone. Serial 6F on the next classic series commentary here already for Skaro. Hopefully, hey, maybe by the time we do that, season 20 will have been put out on Blu-ray and we can all watch it off of that.
That's a good one.
How about that?
I mean, it's not impossible.
Not impossible. We'll see. We will see. Anyway, until next time, everyone, I am Steven in Edmonton.
Or in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.